very deep on that. Okay, there's actually some really good questions here. Very good questions. And I don't know which order we should go through. If you have any questions off the back of any of these questions, that's fine as well. Then you can just shout them out as well. I know that's probably better rather than just us two talking. Let's bring this up here. What's this one? Should probably try and group these a little bit, innit? Do you want to? Should we start this one? Because I think that's a bit simple, isn't it?
Can do.
Which one do you want to start with?
I think that what was the
I think all this, you know, outer stuff. And then we go to the inner stuff, innit?
Let's go with that one.
Okay, you can do that one.
The question is, for example, in the phrase Mahalla Panjama Kar Pehla, so when a Shabad starts with Mahalla Panjama or whatever the number might be, whichever Guru Sahib, Mahalla Kar Pehla, or obviously whichever kar it is, whichever number, what does the Kar Pehla mean or represent? 99.9% people will say in Gatha, it is obviously the rag. You have rag and mahalla and kar, and you have other things as well, chalo. So you have the rag is, I think we all know hana rag ki hundi hai. You play these tunes and it sounds like this, and they're associated with moods, seasons, stuff like that, hana? Sad, happy, etc., etc. Rag ho gaya. Mahalla ho gaya, which Guru Sahib? But that word mahalla is important. Kede Guru Sahib hoya, mahalla pehla, first Guru, etc. So mahalla panjwa, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, and then kar pehla. Mahalla, chalo kai mahalla bhi chalo keh dende, they say that because the Guru Sahibs are the mahal of Waheguru, the bride of Waheguru. But we don't follow that because one, on a language level, the word is mahal, because Punjab de jidan jampala jidan, they know pind ch mahalla hunda ya. You have like you have Headingley and you have areas of Leeds, and you say if we was in India we'd say mahalla, this mahalla or that council estate or this estate or this little bit here. They're called mahalle, little areas. And what do you have in the mahalle? You have houses in the mahalle, So if we said, oh, that's my block over there, I live over there, and then in there obviously thada ki hunda, thada kar hunda utte, So what people wrongly sort of say ki kar da arth hunda je raag da ho gaya, the kirtani sings like this, plays the bajja, plays the tanti saj in this tune. Kar hunda ya bit taal da hunda ya, the tabla guy knows how to play, person knows how to play kar pehla, jap taal, whatever the taal is, teen taal, if it's a kar tija. If I'm honest, there's a lot of study done into that. There's a book as well. Whoever asked this question, if you come up to me, I'll try to find it. The book that there's been a bit of research done on this. I don't know who's written it. I've forgotten. But Kardai Hundaya, when Guru Sahib was writing all this Gurbani, it was just sections of Gurbani. So Jithihan, for example, on a certain ang, the Gurbani starts and goes on for 50 ang. It would be broken up into sections just so that they'd know where's that Shabad. It's in the third section. Tika? So the Gurbani, so it's just what's the word, like an organizing of Gurbani. Mahalla ho gaya. So the Shabads, the way it goes is, if Guru Nanak Dev Ji Shabad starts, they go on until if there is a Shabad by Guru Angad Dev Ji. So in that first Mahalla of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, you have the certain Shabad, for example, Astpadiya, they might go on forever. They might go on for 50 yang, 60 yang. And Guru Sahib to sort of break that up and create an organizing sort of structure, they'd have karna. But if you say that in front of everyone, they'll say, I don't know who said that, etc., etc. But there's a lot of research done into this sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm telling you, if you ask a tabla person, and they won't be able to do it. So then you say, well, hold on, how do we play every Shabad if God doesn't play with every? So there's a lot of holes in that. But not even 100% of places you'll hear that one gal, bit tabla, tital, and that's what God is. So yeah, so say that to someone else. see what they say.
Alright then.
Yeah, this might be a long one. Yeah, what are the short ones? What's this? How to get over laziness. ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਤਾਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੇ ਛੱਡਿਆ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਦਮ ਕਰੋ ਕਰਾਬ ਹੋ ਠਾਕੁਰ, ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਤਲਬ ਉਦਮ ਬਖਸ਼ੋ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਨਾਮ ਜਪਾਵੋ, ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਜਪੀਏ or you know we can do X Y Z whatever, ਇਹ ਆ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰਾਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਕਰਾਓ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। and I think a lot of that because look, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਲਸੀ, let's say someone's not, if they ask themselves ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਲਸੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਠਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਹ ਕਰਦੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵੇਲੇ ਫਲਾਣੇ ਟਾਈਮ, that you have to say me, ਮੈਂ ਉੱਠਦਾ, ਮੈਂ ਜਪਦਾ, ਮੈਂ ਫਲਾਣਾ ਕਰਦਾ, ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਕਰਦਾ, ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਹੀ ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਠ ਗਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹੀਏ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਜਪਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਕਰਦੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਫਿਰ ਤਾਂ ਹੰਕਾਰ's gone up with that as well, ਹੈ ਨਾ। so it's a bit of a tricky line ਕਿ where do you go, ਕਿ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਦੋ ਪੱਖ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਆਪਣ ਹੱਥੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਆਪੇ ਹੀ ਕਾਜ ਸਵਾਰੀਏ, ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਦਮ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਉੱਠੀਏ, ਉਹਦਾ ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਹੌਸਲਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਕਿ ਬਸ ਇਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਪ੍ਰਯੋਜਨ ਹੈ, this is our aim in this life, but at the same time ਹੰਕਾਰ ਤੋਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਦੂਰ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ we have to sort of, this is what ਅਰਦਾਸ is so important for, ਅਰਦਾਸ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਪਾਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਅਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਮਤਲਬ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅੱਗੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਨੀ, ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਕਰਾਓ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਆਪ ਮਤਲਬ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਾਓ। so that's all I can say is the aim of the game is to delete your ego. So if there was obviously it's not written like that, but if it's how do I get over my laziness, that we need to sort of put to aside कि मैं कुछ कर सकता, ठीक है। हम कि कबीर हम किया हम करेंगे, ना हम कि ना करेंगे, ना कर सके है शरीर, कि मतलब जो ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਸਰੀਰ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ। ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਪਏ ਕਬੀਰ ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਰੱਬ ਕਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਇਟਸ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਟੂ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ that sort of side of things. That's my thing anyway. ਬਾਕੀ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ otherwise if I didn't say that I'd just say try harder. That's a bit of a feel like a bit of a hollow answer if I'm honest.
I'll read that properly in a second. Give me another one. Just give me another one. Give me another one. Should we do all these Amritari ones together? Okay, so there's a few here about being Amritari, what you can and can't do. So I think we'll just box them off together. Okay. Okay, so there's two that says, one that says about can we wear any jewelry and do makeup? Can good Sikhs wear jewelry? Are they allowed to do makeup? I'm going to take these a little bit little separately, you know. So jewelry. Okay. I say let's go from Gurbani first, and then from Gurbani let's go to Itihas, and then let's go to applying it today. I think that's probably the best way to do it, you know. If we go just first on Gurbani will essentially, Gurbani will talk about, that's fine. Gurbani will talk about how our attractions to many things in this world, you know? And Gurbani will talk about many things. So there's a shabad that comes in Siri Dag, those who don't Santeh, you've already done it. Rasa Kori, Rasa Ja, Kam Rasa, Paramal Ki Vas, Rasoina, Rasa Rupa, Kam Ras, that's the shabad. Rasoina, Rasa Rupa, Kam Ras. And it goes through all these different ras, which is different types of tastes of the world. That's what it's called, the tastes of the world. And within this we have Soina Ras, which is Sona, which is, you have different, to sleep as well. You have many different types of, call them, different types of pleasures within the world. And then Maharaj says, Itte ras sarir ke, and they talk about many different things. They say there's the ras of gore, of horses. Obviously in those days, in today's day and age, you might say about cars. In those days it might have been horses. Mandar ras, they'll say about like houses. That's like a taste of the world, isn't it? And just like if you have a fire, and to make that fire grow, you put wood on it, don't you? In the same way, our longing inside is like a fire inside of us, and the ras, the taste of the world, are like wood that you put on top of the fire. The more wood you put on top of the fire, the more the fire grows. The more ras, the more of the taste of the world that you put in, that you expose yourselves to, the more that under that trishna grows as well. That desire for worldly things grows as well. And so there's a thinking, let's say, that you remove yourself from these things. Because, and Mahaprabhu could have said this, there's a Mahaprabhu who told me this as well. They said if you leave butter next to a fire, what's going to happen to the butter? It melts, doesn't it? In the same way, if we say that the tastes of the world are like a fire, then what's going to happen to us inside? We're going to melt as well, aren't we? So you should physically, then you take yourself away from these kind of things. But then the issue comes that there's so much in the world that can be a ras as well. So the highest state of a Gursikh is the one that can be around all of these things but then not affected. है ना? कंचन माटी मानना है, we hear in Sri Guru Maharaj's Bani कि जो नर दुख में दुख नहीं मानना है, सुख स्नेह अर्पै नहीं त्रापै, कंचन माटी मानना है. That person that accepts gold and dirt to be the same thing, those are the ones who are liberated. So in Gurbani, there's one level of avastha, which is, let's say that these are things that can distract us. And Maharaj says about these things that can distract us, ete ras sarir ke kya kat naam nivas. That when there is so much ras, ete ras sarir ke, that when there's so much of these pleasures, kya kat naam nivas, there's so much desire for pleasures inside of you, kya kat naam nivas, where's the place, where's the space now for naam inside of you? There's so much love for worldly possessions, where's the naam going to sit? There's no more space left for that, is there? So, in that sense, a Gursikh will try and limit themselves to things that are going to take their mind away from Gurbani. So then you come to Itihas, and then people will say, and rightly will say, they'll say Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, obviously they wore different riches. You'll see some paintings, sometimes people have types of gold, especially, Sikh women, they might have had gold and things like that. Itihasic, in terms of a history, what would happen is, like nowadays, maybe you guys are a bit young, Hannah, but generally most of your savings are in a bank. Maybe they're in some sort of stocks or something like that. And they're not, all your money isn't just there in a pile like that. No one will just keep cash like that. It's a bit unsafe to do that. Anybody can come and rob you. So if you've got lots of savings as a family, you're going to buy gold. You're going to buy some sort of, you're going to buy some sort of, maybe some sona, some jewelry, things like that. And even then Singhs you imagine Singhs are going out and about and they're not really coming home. They've left their homes, whatever little bit of money they've got or whatever savings their family have got. Generally what they'll do is they'll put it all into some sort of jewelry, and then it's like a thing. Let's just say, for example, you put it into a bracelet or a necklace, and then somebody has to try and take that from you, don't they? And if you're a Singh who's living in the jungles, or you're a Singh who's trying to travel around and you can't take that many things with you, that's probably the best way you can do that. So in previous times, it was seen as, and even in these times, to be fair, like you see families, they'll pass down gold to their daughters or their daughter-in-laws and things like that. And that's all about sort of preserving the wealth of the family. That's like the savings of the family, that kind of thing. So where do we land today? Well, it's obviously not the same sort of thing today, really, is it? We don't really wear it for that sort of reason. So what do we wear it for? Really, we wear it to beautify ourselves. And this is the same thing it comes to makeup, when it comes into makeup. And then there's Shabad that's not coming to my head right now. There's a Shabad that's not coming to my head right now, but in Gurbani, it comes in the Shabad of Oang Preya Preet Jeet Baharaliya, and one of the next Shabads that come in there, Gur Ke Bachana, and it comes in within the Shabad, and they talk about how, as a Gursikh, what have I done? I've put on lots of jewelry. This is what it says in the Shabad. I put lots of jewelry, lots of shingar. But what are these different shingar? And it goes through the different shingar. And the different shingar are these different actions that we do. So if we want to beautify ourselves, then we think, well, who are we going to beautify ourselves for? We're going to beautify ourselves for Akal Purkh Vaheguru. We beautify ourselves with actions that are going to get us close to Akal Purkh Vaheguru. And so in that way, things like jewelry, makeup, in that way can become a distraction. It forces us to focus on the outer. Now, generally, I say this a little bit I say this a little bit softly as well, because my personal view is there aren't lots of like hard rules like this in Sikhi, but there's a lot of like Gursikhs and Mahapurushs that will give you teachings and from experience to say that maybe this isn't the path that we should sort of go down. And especially, I think makeup, especially sort of in today's day and age, I guess Bibian will talk about this and they'll probably know more about this, that it starts on one thing, then it goes to another, then it goes to another, and then becomes almost like, like Bibian talk about, is like almost sometimes they can't be seen without makeup and things like that. And it becomes, for some people, not for everybody, but for some people, maybe it becomes a real crutch for them. And obviously, sometimes for a lot of women, a beauty can be a bit of a difficult thing for them, right? It could be something that they have insecurity towards as well. And these things can sometimes, not all the time, be used to mask a type of insecurity as well. But I think in the end of the day, things with makeup, with jewelry, it will all come down to, these might be used to beautify yourselves from the outside. I'm not going to say there's one reason. I'm not going to use the example that we're only doing it for the opposite gender. That might not be the reason. But the true beautification happens on the inside. So there isn't really a place for Sikhi in these kind of things, unless it's like a really practical thing, like the Singhs might have done to with their wealth. Other than that, I'm not going to say it's like the absolute worst thing you can do. But I would say, especially with makeup, like for young Bibiyan, I would say probably if you can just maybe, sort of stay away. And I'm just going to box off some of the Amardari things as well. Can Amardari allowed to marry non-Amardari? No. So when somebody goes to take Amrit, they'll be told that your partner should be Amardari as well. Why? Because that's not to discriminate with anybody, but if somebody has taken Amrit and they're on that path and they marry somebody that hasn't, sometimes what people do is they'll marry somebody that hasn't, but then they'll go straight to an Amrit Sanchar, which might be a bit of a different thing. I mean, somebody who does Panjani Seva, they could probably advise better on that. But if somebody is going to live with somebody who's not on that path, or is not Amritari, is not doing Nityanem, is not wearing kakar and things like that, then raising your household, raising your future children, things like that, it becomes a little bit more difficult. You want the parents to be on the same page about things, wherever they might be in that journey. So if you're an Amritari who's not yet married, which I assume is where the question is from, in your mind should be, I will marry an Amritari, because in the future, you two will be living a life together. You two will be living your whole life together, hand in hand, and you'll be raising children together as well. So, on the most important and fundamental part of your life, there's nothing more important and fundamental than your dharam. You can disagree on many different things. You can disagree on, I don't know, which house to live in. You could disagree on your football team. You could disagree on many, many different things. But if you disagree on your dharam, then that's like the bedrock of your house. That's the center of your house. And once that's shaken, then it becomes a little bit difficult sometimes to make a family life there. So yeah, if there's nobody in your family who's Amartari, then how can you keep your Sutjam and Rayat? I think it's different for different people. Obviously, if you're saying in my house there's sharab, there's meat, there's these types of things, that's one thing. If on the other side there's none of those things, but people aren't Amartari in your household, and that's another thing as well. And I could probably attest to this, because I was, when I took Amrit, I was in the same sort of boat. In my house, nobody was Amritari when I took Amrit. I was quite young as well. I was 13 when I took Amrit as well. I think generally, if you're young and nobody else is doing it, let's say your mum makes you prashadda or whatever it is, I'm hoping that your parents would like the fact that their child has taken Amrit, or they would want to support them in every way that they can. So if there's like things like alcohol and meat in your house, having your own dishes separate that nobody else touches, yeah, that can be really powerful. And then assuming, let's say, for example, you have somebody in your house that doesn't partake in these things, obviously that's fine. They can make your food. Realistically, you just have to do the best you can in the situation that you've got. And then if there's something that's a really specific situation, then I'd always say just go talk to your Panch Bihari, go talk to Panch Singh, who can advise you in your specific situation. For the most part, you have to do the best with what you got. If you want to be really, committed to your Rayat, because sometimes we try and find like cop-outs, don't we? We try and think, can I do this? Can I do that? Almost try and think, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Will I get punished for this? Will I not get punished for this? Sikhi isn't really about that. Sikhi is not about what can I do, what can't I do. Sikhi is about how much do you love Guru and how much are you willing to commit to that as well. And so let's just say you want to commit 100%. Then a step you might take is you might say, well, okay, I'm just going to, I've got my own bandi, I might just make my own food. I'm going to have my own little, I'm going to have my own rast, and I'm going to make my own food. That's, let's say, if you want to do the ideal scenario. Maybe if you can't do that, maybe you have somebody in your family that helps you do that as well. And then your Rayat is for you, really, isn't it? Your Rayat is for you. No one's going to be, you're not expecting anybody to come fare your case with a kanga, are you? No one else is going to do that for you. You're going to do that. No one else is going to do Nityanem for you. That's for you to do. So in those things, in the main things, it's not really about what your family do. That's about what you do. ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਲੰਗਰ 'ਚ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੰਗਰ 'ਚ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਪਰ ਲੰਗਰ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੰਗਰ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਮਰਿਆਦਾ ਨਾਲ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਸੋਚਮ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ। ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਹਨ ਜਦੋਂ ਭਾਂਡੇ ਧੋਤੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਕੁਛ ਕਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। No, it's difficult. I would say I'm not. Most Gurdwara, I'm not just saying this one, don't follow full Langar Maryada. If I sat here and told you what full Langar Maryada is, you might not believe what full Langar Maryada is. But most places won't really follow a lot of that. I think it's just the society that we live in sometimes as well, the society that we live in. And then was there another one on Amritari? Was that the other one? What do you want to do now? Actually, I'll just do a quick one. Are there any sources about the sort of tactics used by good Sikhs in battle, e.g. Kartarpur Mangani? I've got a book, Battle Tactics by Sikhs. I lent it out to somebody, but I can get it back if anybody wants that book. You can have it. Oh yeah, sorry, I'll do this one as well. Are there any colours we aren't allowed to wear in Sikhi? I'll get your view on it as well. So in our Ayat Maryada, in the times of the Khalsa, what got brought in terms of the times of the Khalsa was that the Khalsa wouldn't wear Gura, especially green and red, like sort of Gura rang. Green, because at that time it was obviously the colour of the Mughals, and the red was sort of the colour of the Devi. So obviously it was for a specific time, and the Khalsa have kind of brought that forward to now as well, where they don't wear them colours as well. So, and some Gursikhs would go further and they would say like Gura Rang like that, because green and red mentally, even on a psychological level, it's meant to entice. So those colours, because if you put in, let's say, lust into others, then it's not good for them, but it's also not good for you as well. So generally Gursikhs will stay away from that sort of Gura red and green as well. That's quite like an old time Maryada that some Gursikhs still follow today. Oh, well, do you want to do this one?
I'll do the colours. On the colours thing, yeah, I think this week get asked at work, they go, oh, to judge Aj peeli banni hai, like, oh, what does that mean? Anything you say? Not really, innit? But yeah, given this thing, I say like different time across the world, people wear different colours for different things. Like, you wear blue tie, you're conservative, like, there's a little bit of like, there's culture behind any colour in anywhere you go in the world. All I say is, yeah, the two things that come in my mind are, one, ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਾਛੀਵਾੜੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਹ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਚੋਲਾ ਆ ਲਹੂ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਲਿਬੜਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਐਂਡ ਸਟਫ, ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਪਾੜ ਕੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਉਹਦਾ ਅੱਗ 'ਚ ਸਿੱਟਦੇ ਆ, ਐਂਡ ਫਿਰ ਚਿੱਟਾ ਚੋਲਾ ਪਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ। ਸਿਗਨੀਫਿਕੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਜੰਗ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡਾ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ। ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਆ, ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਈਏ ਨਾ ਪਾਈਏ, ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਬੀਇੰਗ ਦਾ ਉਹ ਕੁਛ ਟਾਈਮ ਦਾ ਰੰਗ ਸੀਗਾ, and then at a different time ਹੋਰ ਰੰਗ ਪਾਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ for just a different reason. It's not like if you must wear blue then you must wear thing. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਚਲੋ ਨਿਹੰਗ ਸਿੰਘ ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਜੰਗ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਚੇਤ ਰੱਖਦੇ, ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਨੀਲਾ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ। ਕਈ ਸਾਧੂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਚਿੱਟਾ ਤਾਂ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਸਾਦਗੀ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਇੱਕ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨੀ ਆ। ਸੋ ਇਟਸ ਨੋਟ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਿੱਟਾ ਪਾ ਲਈਏ ਅਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਛ ਬਣ ਗਏ, ਜਾਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਿੱਟੇ ਜਾਣੀ ਕਿ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਮਤਲਬ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਚਿੱਤ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਾਲਾ ਐ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਚਿੱਟ ਵੀ ਆਹ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਮਨੋਂ ਕਸੁੱਧਾਂ ਕਾਲੀਆਂ, ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਕਾਲੇ ਹੋਣ, ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਿੱਟੇ ਹੋਣ। The thing with that as well, when you come into Sikhi, you hear all these things, you think, hey, these are the most important things, I must make sure I don't wear this colour, that colour, da-da-da. Then you get back into Itihas and you see Baba Sahib Singh Bedi, and they would wear an emerald green sort of chola and stuff. So ਉਹਦਾ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੋਏ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਏ ਜਾਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ, is some reason, like Govinda Singh said, like if everyone's fighting and you're in the army, you just wear the colour that you're told to, you wear the colour that is the army's colour sort of thing, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਤਾਂ we also see ਆਪਣੇ the flag ਖਾਲਸੇ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲਾਹੌਰੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨ, ਉਹ ਲਾਲ ਰੰਗ ਦਾ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪਾ ਲਿਆ ਅਤੇ ਕੁਛ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, you die and ਉੱਥੇ ਧਰਮਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਫਲਾਣੇ ਵਿਆਹ 'ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਾਲ ਰੰਗ ਦੀ ਟਾਈ ਪਾਈ ਸੀਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਇਹ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਣ ਕੇ there's some colours that have an importance and we should sort of uphold that importance ਜਿੰਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਈ you see now more ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨ ਸਾਹਿਬ are yellow not ਕੇਸਰੀ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਹੈ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਸਾਂਭ ਸਕਦੇ but I don't think it should go into this whole because a lot of people do that with black they say ਕਾਲਾ ਰੰਗ ਨਹੀਂ but ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਸ਼ ਹੋਏ you see that ਕਾਲੀਆਂ ਲੋਈਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੋਏ and stuff and you think ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਚਲੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਸਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੋ
Yeah, I was just going to say on that as well. It's a good point because different communities, also even in Sikhi as well, will sort of say about different types of colours, and obviously there's a reason for it as well. But it's there's two parts of Sikhism there. There's the outer part, which is our sort of Bantik duty, our worldly duty to the Banth and to the rest of the community as well. And there's what we do on an inner basis as well. So Singh just mentioned about there are some especially I know within the Nihang Singh Dals, they won't wear black, especially black Damalle, because they'll say it's like the colour of sog of it's and the colours has meant to be Jardigla. That's what they'll say, which isn't a bad thing, It's obviously that's the sort of spirit of Nihang Singh sometimes, where we want to remain in Jardigla. We don't want to have that sort of sog, the nishani or anything like that. But then you go to other places. So for example, when the Nankana Sahib massacre happened, and they wore black as a sign of Ros, as a sign of protest. And even now, if you go to Ros Majari, a lot of people wear black, don't they? So it's two different places means two different things. And then when you look in, so then on the outside, I'm not saying it's useless, but on the outside there's one thing. Then the inside Mara says that when you go past all of these things, because at one point these are important, but you have to go past these things as well. Mara says na Mela na tundla na Bhagwan na kach nanak lalu lal hai sache ratta sach. That when you go past na Mela na tundla na, so Bhagwa is like the colour of like in Nirmaliya they wear Bhagwa is like this sort of peachy colour. These different colours that people wear, Mara says not this colour, not that colour, not that colour, not that colour. The only colour that I'm interested in is nanak lalu lal hai, that sort of red crimson, let's call it, that sort of radiance of the face, that red radiance of the face, that's what I'm chasing after. And they use the example of people who wear different colours on the outside, but on the inside, but they're not trying to connect as well. Well, then what colour you wear on the outside doesn't really make a difference. Whatever you do on the outside, it has to match the inside as well. If you're doing something on the outside, which is great, you wear bana, you adhere to the colours of the Khalsa as well. These things are important, but they have to be matched by the inside as well. It's even more important, I would say. Right, Moomantar. Some people say Moomantar go to Gur Prasad, Hanji. Very good, very good. Some people say Moomantar goes to Gur Prasad. Why do some people say that? So the reason some people say that is because from, I guess, studying certain Granths, Gurke Sahibs, etc., they will feel like it goes to Gur Prasad, and then after from Ard Sach, Jugad Sach, that's a separate slok, and then the rest of Japji Sahib begins. And what they'll say is that Jap is we go to Gur Prasad, then we say Jap, don't we? They'll say, because it says Jap there, that means that is the start of Japji Sahib now. We had Moomantar, then it said Jap, and this is now the start of Japji Sahib. That's what some people would say. But the argument doesn't really hold a lot of weight, because if you say that Japji Sahib starts because it says Jap, or we read Anand Sahib, how does Anand Sahib start? Ram Kali Mahalla Tija, Anand. So then you have to get rid of Ram Kali Mahalla Tija as well, don't you? Because it says Anand there, you have to get rid of everything before that as well. Many different shabads. If you look at Gurbani, won't necessarily start with the name of the shabad at the start. Most shabads won't. So that one doesn't really hold a lot of weight. So then people will say, okay, well, it's a slok, and they'll say that because, well, we see the slok in Sukhmani Sahib. If you read Sukhmani Sahib, Aad Sach Jugal Sach Happy Sach Nanak Hosi Pe Sach, and they say, well, it's a slok in Sukhmani Sahib, so therefore it's a slok here as well. But most of our, without going into it too much, most of our history will point towards going towards Nanak Hosi Pe Sach. But I would say it's not a huge issue as well. The people who argue about whether it's to Nanak or Hosi Pi Sacha to Gur Prasad, the ones who argue about it, neither of them are probably doing it anyway. If you're going to do it, whichever one you want to do, I would always say it's to Nanak or Hosi Pi Sacha. That is the complete Mool Mantar. But if somebody's doing to Gur Prasad, they're doing to Gur Prasad as well. At least they're reading Gurbani. That's the main thing. Any other ones? Do you want to start that one?
There's two questions. What is brahmacharya? I don't know what that means because there's a person called brahmacharya. If it's brahmacharya, that is people that abstain from getting married or having like relationships. They just bihangam. So if it means that, if that's what it is, I can only guess. Otherwise, if someone's put the question in again. ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਆ ਕਈ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਲਾਈਕ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਜਾਂ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਣ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਵਿਆਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਐਵੇਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਔਨ ਪਰਪਸ ਵੀ ਜਸਟ ਨਾਟ ਗੋਣਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਉਸ ਲਾਈਨ 'ਤੇ ਚੱਲ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ ਐਂਡ ਸਮ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖਸ ਲਾਈਕ ਭਾਈ ਮਨੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਉਹ ਮਤਲਬ ਗ੍ਰਸਤੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੋ ਉਹੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਐਂਡ ਮਤਲਬ ਵਿਆਹ ਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਮਤਲਬ ਉਸ ਰਾਹ 'ਤੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕੀ ਕਹੀਏ ਡੋਲਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਸ ਰਾਹ 'ਤੇ ਬ੍ਰਹਮਚਰਜ. What is your opinion on Sanatan Dharm? This is a bit of a tricky one because when you say certain things, I don't want it to be misunderstood. A lot of other dharms, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਪੈਗੰਬਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ, Abraham comes, ਉਹ ਕੁਛ ਕਹਿ ਜਾਂਦਾ. The next one comes, it's a new dharam. The next one comes, it's a new dharam. And everything's different. Like in India, there's no one religion. Like to use English words, I think English words, westernized views of what religion and whatever is, makes us think what is our religion, what is their religion, Hinduism, and and then ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਬਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੰਧ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਕਾਰ and ਉਹ ਇੱਧਰ ਆ and then when people start asking you but they do this as well and then you're like oh yeah well you do this and they do that as well and then you start like oh yeah we do both do that. That's because there's no real like line between that. For example, in all of India ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ you take your jode off as an example ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਧੋਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁੱਧ ਨਾਲ ਧੋਂਦੇ ਆ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਫਰਸ਼ ਦੁੱਧ ਨਾਲ ਧੋਂਦੇ ਆ ਮੰਦਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਆਪਣੀ ਮੂਰਤੀਆਂ ਦੁੱਧ ਨਾਲ ਧੋਂਦੇ ਆ ਚਲੋ ਇਹ ਨਿੱਕੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਆ. If you want to do a part or you want to do a thing, you would put a jot on toof on, you'd set something on fire basically and it make the place smell one thing so you're not smelling new smells and ਉੱਧਰ ਦੇਗ ਬਣ ਗਈ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਉੱਧਰ ਚਲ ਗਿਆ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਉੱਧਰ ਮੰਦਰਾਂ 'ਚ what do they do ਹਵਨ ਲਾ ਕੇ they do the same thing ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ these are just things to do with that country. These are just things to do with that land. If that makes sense. We get confused because ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੰਦਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਚੌਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਚੌਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ. They're just things to do with the culture of that land, of that country. Just like if you went to Africa and you went to all these different countries, different tribes, they'd all do the similar things. That doesn't mean that they're all one thing. So that's one thing. So there shouldn't be a confusion of ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ. That's because it's a science of it's a good example actually. There's a science question here. If someone said to you, oh, you believe in science, but which science do you believe in? You wouldn't say, which science do you believe in? Do you believe in physics? I believe in biology. It doesn't make sense, does it? You believe in generally, you believe in science, don't you? ਇਹ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਬਜੈਕਟ ਲਿਆ ਸਕੂਲ ਲਿਓ which one do you work in? You say I'm a physicist, I'm a biologist, but you wouldn't say which one do you believe. You say how can I believe in one bit and then not believe in the other bit? It doesn't make sense. In the same way, India ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੁਣ like ancient ਜਿਹੜਾ ਧਰਮ ਆ the Sanatan ਧਰਮ Sanatan just means very old. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਨਾਤਨ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਪੁਰਾਣਾ ਧਰਮ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਬੀਰ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਸ਼ਿਸ਼ਟ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਹਿਲਾਦ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਧਰੂ ਵੀ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ so that the word is trying to get you to sort of say we are different from that group of people over there but the similarities that you have are just purely cultural similarities. ਠੀਕ ਆ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁੱਚਮ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਵੀ ਸੁੱਚਮ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ these are just country some cultural commonalities and in Gurbani ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਬਿਫੋਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਬਈ ਮਤਲਬ ਚਲੋ ਕਲਯੁਗ ਤਾਂ ਕਲਯੁਗ ਆ ਬਟ ਬਿਫੋਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਸੱਚਖੰਡ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਿਆ ਅਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਅਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਭਗਤੀ 'ਚ ਪੂਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ 500 ਸਾਲ 600 ਸਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਸੱਚਖੰਡ ਦੇ ਦਰਵਾਜ਼ੇ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹੇ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਲੋਕ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਾਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਈਵਨ ਦਾ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ 'ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ 36 ਯੁੱਗ ਮਤਲਬ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਜਾਪ ਕੀਤਾ, ਫਲਾਣੇ ਰਿਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇੰਨੇ ਜਾਪ ਕੀਤੇ, ਉਹ ਜਾਪ ਕੀਤੇ। And we hear about, through Bhagat, we hear about Prahalad, they're called Gurmukhs in Gurbani, है ना? So if they're Gurmukh and they were around thousands of years ago, and they looked like this, and they wore this, and they did this, and they did that, and whatever, do we then say, if we saw them in front of us now, would we say, nahi Gurmukh nahi, because ਇਹਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਕੜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਇਆ, ਇਹਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਆ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਫਲਾਣਾ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ at that time, the out, okay, ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ that was the dharma of the time, है ना? Then times changed. That was the dharma of the time. Kabir came, that was the dharma of the time. Guru Sahib came, refined it more in the darkest of ages. That doesn't mean that all that history we don't count as our own and we just throw it in the bin and we just start the clock from 1469, है ना? Obviously there's big differences कि ਅਸੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਮੂਰਤੀ ਪੂਜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਵੀ ਦੇਵਤਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੂਜਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, but then it gets confusing where, for example, when we read Dasam, ਉਹ ਹਰੇਕ ਗੱਲ ਦੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਆਪਣੇ ਹਰੇਕ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਖੁਲਾਸਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਆਹ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਅਵਤਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਸੋ ਸਮ ਪੀਪਲ ਦੇ ਸੇ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਨਾਤਨ ਧਰਮ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਦਸਮ ਬਾਣੀ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ। ਸੋ ਦੈਨ ਉਹ ਉੱਥੇ ਮਾਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਫਿਰ, ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਵੀ ਦੈਨ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਗੋ, not really, sadly, it's still our shared itihas, and it's still, Gurmani, which we have to read it to learn about X, Y, Z and all that. We then get caught out there where we say, so that's Sanatan Dharam and it is Hadda Dharam. We then, you get stuck in drawing that line then, है ना? चलो अपने जो असी करते हैं रहत सी रखते हैं वो अपनी है, किसी होर दी हो रहा। But these theologies of sort of 84 lakh June or Naam Japana or Mukti or sort of Man, Chet, Bodh, Hankar, and the inner science of your mind and all these things, they're very, very old things. And Guru Sahib matlab Gurbani vich vi ehi kehndे हैं matlab कि matlab कई matlab जुग पुरानी ये कहानी है जिदा, है ना?
So either we can go through some of these, because there's quite a few left, like 30 seconds, minute, quick, simple questions, or we can do it in depth another time. What do you want? In depth, or if anyone's got like a burning question they need to answer now. What do you think? If you want it in depth later, we can do it in depth later. If you've got, like, if you really want to hear the answers now, then we can just go like 30 seconds a question now. Quick ones? Okay, what have we not done?
What are some of the taboo topics in Sikhi, and what?
Yeah, taboo topics in Sikhi, I don't really... So the question is, what are some of the taboo topics in Sikhi, and due to what reason, and how should we feel about them? That's a really broad question. I don't really know what we're talking about here, so I think if it's your question and you want to elaborate on it.
I'll try and...
Yeah, go on then.
I think like Baji said with the Gur Prasad thing, है ना, कि कई मतलब होए महापुरख ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਕਈ ਦੂਏ ਪਾਸੇ ਹੋਏ ਹੈ ਨਾ, like that's a good taboo topic, let's say, है ना। ਤੇ what Govinder Singh said that ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਪਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁਣ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਰਨੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਆ, the ones that are doing stuff, they're not bothered about, ਮੈਂ ਉਸ ਦਿਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਲਾਲ ਕੋਟੀ ਪਾ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਜਾਂ ਉਸ ਦਿਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਆ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਜਾਂ ਉਹ ਦਿਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋ ਮੇਰੇ ਗਹਿਣੇ ਪਾਏ ਹੋਏ ਆ, ਜਾਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ these things, and ਉਹ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਉੱਠ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। Another thing here as well, do you know what is, what small and realistic steps can we take to be a better human being? These are the steps. At the lowest level, people will think about मैं अमृत छकिया, उन्हें अमृत नहीं छकिया, or physical things, है ना, बे उन्हें आ रंग पाया, उन्हें तो पैंट पाई है, उन्हें तो फलाना, उन्हें तो चोला थोड़ा पाया, all these things are at the bottom here, and then you go above that, and you go, you know what, चलो अगला जे हो जाए आया, at least वो क्रोधी नहीं, वो कामी नहीं, वो फलाना नहीं, and then you start looking at yourself, you start thinking, how angry do I get, how egotistical am I, है ना, ते चलो मैं तो बाणा पाऊंदा, मैं तो दमाला सजाऊंदा, तो फलाना, ते at least I'm not, then you start getting onto this level of your kirya, है ना, what you do, है ना, that you know, the taboo stuff is mixed in there as well. You start maybe, I don't know, getting into learning vidya, learning sort of scriptural sort of art and all these things and whatever, itihas and all these things. फिर कई उस चीज फंस जाते हैं, ठीक है? They get stuck in that level of things, ना. इतिहास च they उन्होंने ਉਹ ਭੰਗ ਛਕਦੇ ਸੀ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਛਕਦੇ ਸੀ, ਜਾਂ ਉਹ ਝਟਕਾ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ, this or that, or all these things. On both sides of even that is a good topic as well. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ, is the ones who are talking about it are the ones who are, it's not worth having a conversation with. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖ ਆ on either, let's say either side of that debate, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਮੀਟ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਜਾਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ, they're not talking about these things. Do you understand? ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਯੋਜਨ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੱਕ ਉਹ ਤੁਲਕ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ. they're not here, the ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖ of ਨਿਹੰਗ ਸਿੰਘ ਜਥੇਬੰਦੀ, ਉਹ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ 'ਚ ਮਤਲਬ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੱਖਦੇ. And so these are the steps of elevating above these ਛੋਟੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ and moving away from these taboo topics, ਨਾ. ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ 'ਚ you know ਲੰਘ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ. ਇਤਿਹਾਸ 'ਚ ਕੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਬਈ ਆਹ ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ, you know, not that we should not look into itihas, you know, and gurupurubs and stuff like that, but some people, they get stuck in that and then ਉਸੀ ਚੀਜ਼ 'ਚ ਘੁੰਮਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ. We're not talking about scholars, we're not talking about ਜਿਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ to find out, you know, what happened here, what happened there, whatever, and it's their actual scholarly role to find out the Guru Sahib, that, you know, all this evidence and ਕਿੱਥੇ ਗਏ ਸੀ, ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਫਲਾਣਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ. The people who are just in the business of talking, you know. These taboo things, especially like, you know, like when I think of when I was your age, not to like single you out or anything like that, it's very easy to get stuck in that. And the ones that get stuck in that, they never go on to do anything. They're just ਉਸੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹਜੇ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ you meet them 10 years 35 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ. ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਦਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਫਲਾਣੇ ਉਹ ਨੇ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ 'ਚ ਆ ਹੋਇਆ, ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੀਗਾ 200 ਸਾਲ ਪੁਰਾਣਾ, ਉਹ ਐਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਆਹ, and then they found this thing and ਇਹ ਬਈ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਬੁੱਢੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਹੁਣ ਲਾਈਕ ਧੌਲੇ ਆ ਗਏ ਆ, ਉਹੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾ. You have to elevate above these things and remember the mission, like what your mission is. It's not these things, you know. These are important on the way, whatever, cholo, but there's a main goal, and these are the steps that you should be stepping up above and realizing, and okay, there's something beyond all these bodies and physical things that we see sort of around us. That's all.
That's fine. I'm just going to build on that for a second. There's I think just in the spirit of what Janavi Singh was saying, there's it's very easy sometimes, like if somebody's coming to a dharam and they'll see somebody, maybe it's like a Mahapurush, maybe it's just like a respected Guru Sikhs, and they'll say, I just want to do everything like them. And they'll copy what they're doing, but they're not copying the reason that they're doing it. So I'm just going to give you an example, Hannah. Let's just say, and I've seen people do this as well. I've seen people do this. One aspect of it might be that they copy how they dress. Fine, that's a good thing, Hannah. Like chalo bana paliya, let's say for example, Hannah. The other side, then you get some people who'll say, well, this Mahapurush, I don't know, they wore the style really messy, so I'm just going to start wearing my style really messy as well, Hannah, because they're copying the outer things, or they're copying like little things that they might have done because they might have done it, and they're thinking that this is the way to Sikhi, Hannah. But these are things. There's 5 types of Sikhi. There's Dikha Dikhi. There is then you got like Lalaj wali Sikhi, then you got Dande wali Sikhi. These 3 types of Sikhi, they're not Pravan. What it means is you got one type of Sikhi, which is just like you get your Sikhi just from looking at other people. Yeah, look at somebody, what did they do? We copy what they did. But that type of Sikhi Maharaj says isn't really Pravan as well, because that will fade as well. If you're just doing it just because somebody else is doing it, that type of Sikhi is going to fade. And that happens with everything. If we just say, just like on a low level, if we're only taking Amrit because my friend took it, then eventually your love's going to fade as well. And there's that shabad about there's a type of flower, kusamrang nu kende ya, the kacha rang kusambaka thoda yad nachar. That just like there's a type of flower which is very, very bright, the color is very, very bright, but if you dye a kapra in it and then you try and wash it off, it'll come out straight away. Then you got this other rang, which is like a Majidta rang. It's not like that bright, but if you dye your clothes in it, it'll stay forever. In the same way, sometimes you got people who do all the show. They're very, very bright. They do all the show, but their love washes away very quickly as well. Then you got another one. It's not very showy, but it's very deep-seated. So Sikhi is that path, not necessarily just following what somebody else did. Then there's one which is people who do Sikhi just for like money and things like that. People who maybe put on a bana because they'll think people trust me and they'll give me money. There's others which is out of lalach, for these types of reasons. But there's only two types of Sikhi that are Pravan. That is Prem and Siddiq. Siddiq wali Sikhi is somebody who knows I should be a Gursikh, and they live their Raat, they do the Nitnem day in, day out. And then you got Prem wali Sikhi, those people who are following Sikhi just out of complete love. Yeah? Out of complete love. There's some who follow it out of duty, and there's some who follow it out of love. Both those type of Sikhi is Pravan. Both those type of Sikhi are accepted by the Guru. But what's not accepted is when we just, I'm going back to this taboo topics thing, it becomes taboo because I'm not trying to offend anybody, low intelligence people who haven't been on the path of doing Naam Japana, reading Gurbani, argue or try to take aspects of Gursikh's Jeevan that they don't really understand. I'll just use it, he was talking about like things like Bang and Jataka and things like that. If we just use those examples, we take things that we don't really understand and we bring them into a lifestyle which isn't based on Naam. That's where the issues come really, and that's where you get like durvartu of different drugs and things like that. People who misuse things because it just becomes like a cool trendy thing to do, rather than what was the reason that it might have been done, what a Gursikh might have done, where it's all based on Naam and Gurbani. Yeah, and that's where things become taboo and where they become issues, let's say, and then other things become let's say taboo, for example, because genuinely somebody might, let's say somebody has a view, somebody else thinks it's a destructive view. There are some views that can be quite destructive to what we believe in Sikhi as well. There's those reasons as well. But most of these reasons that we a lot of people argue over, that you see people arguing over online, it's just fools arguing with fools. Yeah. And the more you get into that kind of thing, the more you're just going to wreck your own Sikhi as well. So I sort of stay away from all that kind of thing. The basis of everything is Naam and Gurbani. And if we were talking about Hattiyan, Jappiyan, Tappiyan, the basis of all these Gurmukhs, Mahapurush, whoever have been, I was actually listening to, it was just like a snippet from a little song, from ages ago. It's from this Sufi, and he does an interesting line. And in this line, he does it in Punjabi, but I'll say in English for you guys, In this line, it says that the world has spent their time looking for people, those people who have been looking for themselves. The people who have been searching for God within themselves, people are looking for those people. So we're all looking for these types of people that are going to lead us. Those types of people we are thinking they're going to lead us. They're not looking for anybody else. They're just looking for God within inside of themselves. And that's where we get a little bit stuck. We look towards just the people. But those people that we're looking for, they spend their whole life looking for God inside themselves. So what's the message to us? Look for God inside yourself as well. Don't just look for the outer things. What is the inner thing? What is the thing that they've done to change themselves on the inside, which has made them that way? Okay, I think we'll save the rest of the questions for another time. But if anybody really wants any of these questions answering, we'll stick around and you can just sort of, you can come up to us. But the rest, otherwise, maybe in a few weeks' time, we'll get back to them. Okay, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.